Tomó una foto.
What am I showing you on the screen?
Apple.
Yes, it's the Apple logo, and it's no surprise that you all know what it was, since the Apple brand is one of the most recognized brands by people. Today, the Apple brand is considered one of the most valuable brands in the world,
Okay.
surpassing Google, Amazon, and others. This brand recognition wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the vision of one man, Steve Jobs. Now, before we continue the presentation, I would like to share with you guys the sources I used to gather information for this presentation. They include brainyquote.com, inc.com, freshyoungmillionaire.com, investopedia.com, branddirectory.com, notablebiographies.com, and macworld.co.uk. Howdy everyone, my name is Eduardo Arroyo, and today I will be going over the reasons why we should honor Steve Jobs. And these include the challenges he faced in his life, the accomplishments he managed to get, and also the benefits he was able to give to society. Now, Steve Jobs once said, "Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith." And that's exactly what he did. Steve Jobs faced multiple challenges and obstacles throughout his life. One of the obstacles he faced early on was not going to college or having a college education. Steve Jobs decided to drop out from college because many of the courses he was going to did not interest him at all, and he felt that he was wasting his family's money on an education that he didn't know if he was going to help him in the future or not. So he decided to drop. And this decision would be really scary for us or for any normal person, because not going to college brings uncertainty to our lives. But this was not the case for Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs saw opportunity in his decision. He decided to meet with the dean of the university and make a deal with him. The deal was that he was not going to pay tuition anymore. He could drop into the classes that interested him, and he could live in his friends' rooms for the school year. This way, he was not going to be required to pay tuition, and he was still going to do the things that he enjoyed. Another challenge he faced was being a young entrepreneur. As we studied before, he did not have a business degree or any degree at all since he dropped out from college. But that did not stop Steve Jobs from creating Apple. Steve Jobs used everything he had learned throughout his life, and he also leveraged his network and his perseverance and determination to create the successful brand Apple is today. Another challenge that he faced was leaving Apple. The reason he decided to leave Apple was because he was working on a project that he was really passionate about, the Macintosh. However, the board directors of the company did not feel the same way. They felt that his project was wasting valuable resources of the company, and that it was not going to be profitable enough. So they decided to take Jobs away from that project and put him into another position. However, that would mean that Steve Jobs would have to settle for something less than what he enjoyed to do. So he decided to quit Apple. After Apple, Jobs decided to buy a computer company, and he created a company called Next, which is a computer company that had a lot of potential during his time. However, it never caught on. This was not the only venture that Steve Jobs decided to take. Steve Jobs also bought a small company called Pixar, which sounds familiar to most of you guys, since Pixar has created titles such as Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Cars, and multiple movies that have been a hit in the box office. Another quote from Steve Jobs, "I'm convinced that about half of what separates the successful entrepreneur from the non-successful is pure perseverance." As we all know, Steve Jobs was some sort of magician. He was able to turn obstacles and challenges into opportunity and success. Some of his successes include co-creating Apple. And as we said, he did not have a college degree education, but he was a visionary. Steve Jobs was interested in technology and saw a big gap in the computer industry. He noticed that the computers that were during his lifetime, they were only mainframes meant for big corporations. They were very costly and they could easily fill out an entire room. Steve Jobs understood that technology was evolving really fast, and that meant that the components of the computers would be getting smaller and smaller, which could open the path to other markets. He wanted to create computers for the normal users, for you and me. His decision to create Apple did not only create the successful corporation Apple is today, but it also opened a new market: personal computers. Another success that Steve Jobs accomplished in his life was developing the Apple brand. How did he do this? Well, he did not only care about the function and how the product works. He also cared about the simplicity of the project. He always tried to make everything easy to use for the end user, and he also cared about the design of the product. He wanted to combine all of these three objectives into one. Undoubtedly, Steve Jobs was the one who created and developed Apple's values, the company values. One of the ways that Steve Jobs developed Apple's values is when Apple wanted to put out a commercial in the Super Bowl. This was a bold move since the production cost of the commercial was very high, and the time slots for the Super Bowl were also very pricey. However, Steve Jobs thought that this would be a great idea to market the brand and increase revenue. When the commercial was displayed to the board of directors, not everyone liked it. In fact, Steve Jobs was among the two who actually did enjoy the commercial. So the commercial was to be dropped, and the spots for the Super Bowl to be sold to other companies. But it didn't happen that way, and it didn't happen because Steve Jobs fought to have the commercial aired, and there's some legends that say that he used some of his own money to air the commercial. The commercial was a huge success. It was able to market the brand very well, and the revenues for the year speak for themselves. As of today, like we said before, Apple is considered the most valuable brand in the entire world. And this would not have been the case if it wasn't for the vision Steve Jobs provided. This is another quote from Steve Jobs. And the quote says, "Being the richest man in the cemetery does not matter to me. Going to bed at night thinking that we did something wonderful is what matters to me." Steve Jobs did not only change the world technology as we know today, he also benefited society. When creating Apple, Steve Jobs was not only doing it for the business aspect, he also wanted to change the world and help push humanity further. Throughout with his projects, he wanted to empower people to accomplish more and do more, be more productive. He also wanted to inspire and empower people through a lot of different things. He was a big donor for charities. He also supported hospitals and research to cure AIDS. Steve Jobs also cared for the environment, and he was the one who promoted different policies when he was CEO of Apple. And those policies still stand in the company until this day. Another way that he wanted to empower people was by giving speeches and interviews where he told people to try their best, to accomplish their dreams, and to push themselves to reach their full potential. And this is a picture of him giving a commencement address 2005 in Stanford University in California. In conclusion, we should honor Steve Jobs because of the different obstacles he faced, the achievements he accomplished, and also the benefits he provided to society. Steve Jobs never settled for anything less than pursuing his dream and impacting the world. He died at the relatively young age of 56. However, he accomplished his dream, he lived his life to the max, and he impacted every single one of us. I think we could all learn something from his strong perseverance and determination. That's why we should honor Steve Jobs. Oh, and one more thing. As he stated in his 2005 Stanford commencement address, stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you.